Pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the regular school committee meeting of Monday, June 27th, 2022. So you notice that this meeting is being electronically recorded. Go ahead and start tonight's business agenda with the superintendent's report. Mrs. Sawyer?
Thank you, Chairman Withers. Just say that we have successfully completed the 2021-2022 school year. I think that the staff are to be commended. In many ways, this school year was significantly more challenging than the previous year. While it was good to be back for an entire year fully in person, the logistical challenges created by especially the Omicron surge in January created conditions in which were harder than anything we've had to deal with. But we got through it. We got through it by pulling together, and it was quite a strain. And as a result, I think everybody's happy to have this one in the books successfully, and looking forward to a fresh start and a brighter future. We are excited about the move. It's become very real. I barely got in here on time as I'm finishing up packing my own boxes. But that's another added strain on the district as we go from one school year to another. We usually have a little bit of time between them to get things done, and the move itself is quite an undertaking of its own right. So I would ask that the community have patience. We're doing our best to keep everything running as we normally do, but at the same time we are leaving one building and moving to another, something that only happens once every 75 years or so. So we will have signs up noting that the week of July 11th we are going to close central office to walk-in traffic. There are some key services that will stay open. ESY will be open, and I think there's some transportation functions that are going on. So it's not that so much that the office is closed, but because that's the week that we literally move out of this one and unpack in the other one, we're asking people to plan to either come the week before or the week after if you're planning to come in to do some walk-in business with us.
Any questions about the moving process? No? All right.
So next time we are together, it'll be under very different circumstances.
Is that it?
That concludes my report.
All right. Next, we have the fiscal year 2023 budget. Mr. Furtado, do you have the final number that was approved by the city that we need to approve?
I do, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
So the proposed budget given to the committee earlier this spring is the number that we settled in on. So the number I'm going to present to you, that includes transportation, so it's the full operating budget approved by the council, which is $90,463,594.48.
Just can you read that number one more time?
Sure, $90,463,594.48.
All right. So before we get into any discussion, I'll entertain a motion to approve the fiscal year 2023 budget of $90,463,594.48.
So moved.
Second.
And so this was the proposed budget we passed before and sent to the city for request.
Yes.
Okay. So any other questions or comments?
I just want to verify. So the transportation is part of that number you said?
Transportation is part of this number, and you will see a number on the city's documentation that's $75,000 higher. That reflects a $75,000 Medicaid prepay. So it's not the operating budget. It's funding that comes from the reimbursement for Medicaid services provided by the school to students.
And can you just recap what the cost is of that budget that is transportation?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. The transportation portion, $4,527,400.
Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Furtado.
Yep.
Next, we have, well, I think this is probably you as well. Motion to approve a 5-year lease with Pitney Bowes for a new Attleboro High School located at 1 Blue Pride Way.
Yes, yep, so we, and I'm not even sure how old our current system is. It's a single machine. It's been here as long as I've been here, so it's at least 20 years old. And we moving to the new building.
This is the postage system, correct?
This is, yeah, postage, yep.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Anything further from the administration? All right, moving on in our agenda, we have minutes from our June 6, 2022 meeting. Minutes were circulated with your materials. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Any questions or edits? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Consent agenda, 9 items I'll read through. Motion to accept a donation in the amount of $1,000 from National Grid to the Brennan Gifts donation line. Motion to accept a donation in the amount of $500 from the Rebecca Lynn Whitefield Foundation to the Attleboro High School baseball team. Motion to accept a donation in the amount of $50 from Target to the Attleboro High School gifts donation line. Motion to accept a donation in the amount of $382 from Chick-fil-A for track and field. Motion to accept a payment in the amount of $20.75 from Bay State Textiles to Hill Roberts. Motion to accept a donation of the dormant lunch balances to be applied to the past due lunch balance of a student in need in the amount of $565.25 as broken down in the table that was provided with the materials. Motion to accept a donation in the amount of $3,000 from I2 Learning to Wamsutter Middle School to support the PBL capstone projects for the 2022-2023 school year. Motion to accept contractual obligation in the amount of $139.60 from Planet Aid Inc. as broken down on the check receipt dated June 17th, 2022. And motion to approve an overnight international field trip for grades 6 to 8 middle school students to travel to Italy and Greece in April 12th to the 21st, 2024.
So moved. Second.
Any questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Ms. Johnson, yes.
Mr. Furtado, can you just remind us the process to apply for free and reduced lunches and what communications are happening going forward for the next school year?
Sure. So for families need to be very aware that for the past 2 years, we have not had any process. The federal government funded school lunches entirely, and have since reverted back to the normal process. So as of July 1st, new applications for school lunch will be available online electronically. They would also be available in the schools whenever if parents were visiting the schools for any reason, in a paper form. And we ask that they fill those out and return them prior to the start of school. If a student is eligible for school lunch, free or reduced school lunch, their current status will hold through the beginning of October. But if they don't fill out an application, they would be liable for costs after that, and that's typically where we get into a lot of trouble, where families forget that they have to apply for free and reduced lunch every year and accumulate negative balances, and then we have an issue at the end of the year.
I appreciate that, thank you.
Ms. Geddes?
So just for clarification, you're saying folks that were eligible for free and reduced lunch prior to COVID, when the government took over paying for free and...
No, I'm sorry, I probably wasn't clear on that. We have a population who are automatically certified through a DESI portal. That's a reflection of being on public assistance.
Okay.
Those families are fine.
Until October.
That's called direct certification, and they should be fine. It's the families that have to formally apply with an application that are highly at risk at this point, in part because they haven't had to do it, and in part because they're not covered at the start of the school year.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Consent agenda passes. Next, we have our subcommittee meeting report. It is infrastructure and facilities. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Domenici.
Thank you, Chairman. We met on June 15th. I have a couple of updates and then a couple of motions to bring out, which will need some amending. So first things first, the first thing we talked about was the train performance contracts are well underway. Studley boilers have been removed and they're starting work there as of our meeting. Should be a pretty quick, I don't know, in fact, it could even be, are we done? It's
Not
gotta be
not yet,
close.
but yeah, they've got the other boilers out as well.
All right, oh, fantastic. Large pieces for chillers for Wamsutta and Thatcher have arrived. As of our meeting, we were waiting for univents for Wamsutta. So it sounds like we're still waiting. We are cautiously watching this item because if we don't have them by August, we will have to make some other arrangements to complete some work that we're doing there. We would have to rent a unit. There would be additional costs. So we're keeping an eye. Yeah, and what else we have here? So also we have a study is being completed for phase 2. That will include air conditioning at Willett. This will be done under the current performance contract, and that would be a project that would start next spring. The city has actually committed to paying half the cost, and the remainder would come from ESSER funds. So that was pretty exciting news for Willett. And we also were told by Mr. Furtado that we have some grant monies coming from the state that could cover the cost of some air conditioning across our district. So more good news. So that's the train updates. Hill Roberts Hyman Fine gym floors. They were meeting to discuss logistics, placements of material, fencing. The project is moving forward. It's going to take place in July. It should take about 3 weeks to complete.
Just on that front, if I may, they're mobilizing Wednesday.
Oh, great. We got an update on the citywide solar project. The city has made a commitment to the projects. There's a signed agreement in place, but the work will not begin until mid-June of 2023. So it's been pushed out a little bit of time. And the timing, I guess, would be good. At least it's summer work, and we're not going to be disruptive to any of our buildings. As far as MSBA updates, I mean, we have temporary occupancy. The building continues to move along. We are on time, on budget, and as Superintendent Sawyer mentioned, actively moving central office over. So that is our update. One last one that came in as well is there is work for the Thatcher parking lot improvements in the works. We are told the funding is set. So we're again, just a lot of good news moving on with all of our different buildings and different projects. We did have some new business, which consisted of 2 motions. I will bring them out one at a time. I will read them as we pass them in subcommittee. I will then turn it over to Chairman Withers because we had to make some amendments per the city. So the first motion is for items that would be declared surplus and sent to specific destinations or persons. So I entertain a motion for the city council to deem the items listed to be no longer used by the school department as surplus for the purpose of formal dispensation for the intent of sharing them within the community for the sake of community development and direct intrinsic value.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
If I may, Mr. Domenici?
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Domenici, and also to Mr. Geddes for working with the city on this issue. We had a lot of correspondence and back and forth over the past couple of weeks on trying to find out the appropriate way that they would be comfortable with us taking this step. And what this is referencing, this motion is two different types of property. Really, one is items that the plan is to donate to charity, and one is items that we have, specific families have an interest in. The example being the Bray family with the letters outside the auditorium. And then for items going to charity, the plan is to donate desks. The hope is to donate desks to the Attleboro Rotary Club, who's then been working with a Rotary Club in Panama, and they'd be transferring them down there. It's Panama, correct?
I believe so.
Yeah. And they'd be transferring them down there to schools down there to use. And so, to be clear, the correspondence and back and forth with the city, it wasn't that they were against the idea. It was that there was just a thoroughness in making sure that they were comfortable with how the motion read, and ultimately, as far as what we're planning to give to charity, that was relatively easily resolved. The issue became those items that have no necessarily material value, such as, again, the Bray Auditorium, family letters, but that had sentimental value that, you know, certain people wanted, and how could we accomplish that in a way that the city was comfortable with? What the ultimate resolution was is that those, in the city's opinion, those items need to be donated to charity as well, and then the charity can dispose of the property by giving them to those individuals. And luckily, we have one of those charities that we've been working with on the high school that has expressed the willingness to take that step, and that's the Blue Pride Ambassadors Club. And so the idea would be that, you know, with those items, they would be formally disposed of with the request that the city turn them over to the Blue Pride Ambassadors Club, so that the Blue Pride Ambassadors Club can then give them to the families. Does that adequately represent kind of what the back and forth was?
Yes.
So, in working with the city solicitor and the auditor, and trying to figure out a way that they were comfortable with this, I would request that the motion be amended so that it read, the city deemed the attached item as surplus for formal disposition with the express wish and direction that pursuant to section 12(2)(c) of the City of Attleboro ordinances, the municipal council transfer the items to specific charities for disposition.
So moved. Second.
All right, so this is again a motion to just amend the motion. So any questions about what we're amending it to?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So now we have that formal motion on the table.
Can you read that one back?
Yeah.
I could not
Yeah.
write fast enough.
The city deem the items as surplus for formal disposition with the express wish and direction that pursuant to section 12(2)(c) of the City of Attleboro ordinances, the municipal council transfer the items to specific charities for ultimate disposition.
So moved.
Questions, comments?
Not a question, but I did want to express gratitude to Blue Pride Ambassadors Club for stepping up with this again, and also to Principal Rooney for making that connection, and Auditor Deb Gould for coming up with the solution. As Mr. Withers said, this was a lengthy back and forth about what the right way to do this was. So I'm grateful for everyone to finally get to a point that we probably should have been at a couple of years ago.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That makes
Okay.
it-
I have another motion. I believe we have to change the language on this one too. And this one is specific to cover any items that are wanted by other city departments. So I bring out the motion for the city council to deem the items listed to be no longer used by the school department as surplus for the purpose of formal dispensation.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
So this item, just to clarify, this item does not need to be amended. It was we had referenced
Was
two.
it just the one? Okay.
Because there were two separate lists, but we're able to
Okay.
combine them into one. So this motion, from my perspective and from the city's perspective, is okay to accomplish the goal of disposing of items that the other city departments may want.
Oh, even better then.
Yeah.
Okay, well then we have an open motion. If there's no other questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. The last thing I will mention is that I had the fortune this weekend to attend a production at Coelho Middle School by Roundabout Productions. It was their first official production to date. They had initially reached an agreement. Mr. Furtado was generous enough to give them some space at Coelho right as COVID was hitting. So unfortunately, it took some time before we could get to a state where we could actually have that kind of connection with the community again. And it was well attended, well received, and hopefully the first of many. So that completes my report.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Domenici. Next on our agenda, we have open forum. I don't see anyone here to address the committee in open forum, so I will close it. Any new business from committee members tonight? All right, seeing none, then the Attleboro School Committee will convene in executive session pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 30A, Sections 21A, 2, and 3, to discuss strategy with respect to negotiations with union and non-union personnel, and to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining, as an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the school committee. The committee will not return to open forum.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Geddes?
Yes.
Mr. Withers, yes. Mrs. Storrs?
Yes.
Mr. Larson? Yes. Mr. Domenici?
Yes.
All right.
Confuse me too.
We'll just wait until